Everybody, welcome to Point Fighter Live. I'm Alex Reyes, and we're gonna have a great show here today. We're gonna be talking about 2023. We're gonna be talking about Point Fighter Live for 10 years, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the NASCAR rule changes. All right, a lot about the NASCAR rule changes. There's a lot of rule changes um, coming up in the upcoming season, and this year was really a great year and for sport karate. And you know, let us know where you're watching from as well. And thanks for tuning in. All right. Okay. So here we go. So we're just gonna jump right in. All right. We're gonna jump right into this. And there's about 7 NASCAR rule changes. And we're gonna go over them one by one. This is straight from the NASCAR website. Um, it was a great year. NASCAR, actually, all sport karate this year, you know, was big. Like for me, it was bigger. All the numbers were bigger for all the tournaments I went to. We promote about 150 tournaments on Point Fighter Live, and you know, basically all of them, the numbers were up except for 2, and it was just under some circumstances that they couldn't control. So really, the sport is growing. You know, things are booming, and we're gonna talk more about that coming up. But let's just get into that first NASCAR rule change. All right. So team fighting for seniors, um, it used to be 30, 40, and 50, right? One of each. So so now it's changed. It's 30, 40, and 40. So it's a 130-year-old and 2 40-year-olds. I like that. I kind of like it because sometimes it's hard to get a 50-year-old in there for team fighting. So I really do like that. I think there could be more teams fielded out there. But at the same time, then you took off the 50-year-olds, right? So there's a lot of changes now. There's a lot of changes this year in NASCAR, like 7 rule changes. That's a lot, and you know, it's improving. It's really a lot of improvement, in my opinion. I think it was great. So maybe this is something they could, you know, do for next year, right? This is something that they could change next year, especially if people start asking for it, if they want it, right? I'm not even sure if, imagine there could be 50 and up team fighting, maybe 2-person. I think that could be good. But I do like this rule change here with that, you know. Of course, not everybody's going to be happy with it, but I think that it's overall positive. I think there'll be more teams with this structure, and maybe in the future they could add 50 and up teams, right? If there's enough demand for it as well. Okay. All right. So now, before we get on to the next rule change, we're gonna talk a little bit about some gear. We got the shop on Point Fighter Live. It's called Point Fighter Live.shop. We got gear bags. You use 10%. You get 10% off with discount code POWER. There's a ASG helmets. They're large, all the colors, and then all the bags. They have all the colors. Those bags are only $40, right? So it's a great deal. Go on to the shop. We also have magazines as well on there, and some shirts, a lot of items. We're gonna be adding a lot of stuff to our shop, a lot of products to the shop coming up in the next coming year. Okay, you guys are ready for the next one, right? Okay, here we go. Let me just get it on here. All right. Okay, now this one I really like a lot. Okay. All right. Let us know also, like, if you have opinions, let us know. Like, what do you guys think about all these as well? I think it's pretty positive, all of them. All right. Okay. So now, new concussion protocol. All right. For any competitor that suffers a concussion, there will be a mandatory 30-day minimum time for the athlete to return to compete at a NASCAR World Tournament. Okay. So that's good. I think that's great. You know, the safety of our athletes and NASCAR members is one priority. So I really like that because you know, I've been in the full contact world as well, and I actually have coached somebody that's gotten knocked out, and you know, I remember being there, and the boxing commission comes with you know, something you have to sign, and you can actually get fined and lose your license to fight if you fight, if you break the rules, right? So in that case, he couldn't even work out for 30 days. Okay, I'm not talking about even fighting, just even working out. So the fact that they're doing that is great. 30-day minimum for an athlete to return to NASCA, and that's good. A lot of times, you know, and now for that, the paramedic, of course, the medical person there has to assess it and determine if they've been concussed as well. Okay, so I think that's going to be a good one. Sometimes fighters as warriors, they just want to come back too soon, and you got to heal up, because your brain shakes. When you get knocked out, your brain shakes, right? And that's the reason for the knock when you get concussed. So even if you jog or do jumping jacks, a few days later, that's dangerous, because you're shaking it too, and that's when it could be dangerous. So I'm really glad that NASCA is doing that for the protocol, the concussion protocol. All right, okay, ready for the next one? All right, before we do, let's talk a little bit about Podiums, right? My man George, Podiums Canada, he's got 15% off right now until December 31st. So you go to podiums-canada.com. I believe that's the website. I'll have the link up later on, and then use promo code PFL23, and you get to save 15% off. So that's a great deal right there. A good holiday time. It's a great time to save. So you want to do that as well. All right, you guys are ready for the next one? All right, there's the code right there. Make sure you guys get it and use it December 31st. All right, the next one. Let's go to here, and let's see. Hide this one. Okay, now this is the big one here. This is the one that's been a little bit have a little controversy. Now, rule number 3: athletes who compete in CMX musical forms and weapons divisions must perform a CMX based routine that meets the criteria of CMX forms and weapons divisions. Performing a traditional form or weapon is not allowed, right? So it says, remember that traditional athletes may add music to their form or weapon routine if and when they qualify for traditional grand championship runoffs and overall. So that part's new. So if you win traditional challenge and you're in the runoffs, I guess, or if you win a traditional division, you're in the runoffs, you get to go. You could do it in the music there, all right? But they can't do a traditional form in the musical forms or weapons division. Now, there was a lot of talk about this, and I could see the both sides, right? At first, I was kind of like, they've been letting them do it, and then it's done. Maybe make another division for them. That's my solution for that, because then there are traditional forms competitors that are jumping in there and they're accustomed to it, and now that's one less division that they have, or two, right? Because it's musical forms and weapons, right? So so now I think in the future, and I know NASCA's listening to people a lot with the customer service, and they added a lot of rules already here. So I guess it was too late to maybe add that, but I think they're open-minded to have it in the future based on my conversations with them, right? It's just the demand is there. Maybe for next year they could do it, right? So but if you think about it, some of the points that they did give me that made a lot of sense is and there's pros and cons, of course. If you're a traditional competitor and you've been doing this, competing in the in the musical division, and you've been allowed and now you can't, so I could feel the pain there, right, with not being able to now. And but if you think about it as well, like, it would be good to have your own division for that. So that's what I'm kind of advocating for. But if you think about it too, there's been a lot more divisions open for traditionalists too. Like, they got now the Korean challenge, and the traditional challenge is fairly new, so there's more divisions that have opened up for traditionalists, right? And then the CMX, there's one point that they told me too that's true. CMX competitors, I mean the musical CMX division. There hasn't been any more expansion to it, right? I'm not sure if you could even add more divisions for CMX, right? Maybe a tricking division, that'll be cool, right? That CMX people would do it. There's other challenges that you could do, but overall, I know some people are not happy. I know the CMX people are happy about this, but at least you could still use your music if you're a traditional competitor in the runoffs. They did add that now, and then for overall grands. So that's one rule that I think maybe they could add traditional in the future for musical, and it will be a win-win for everybody, right? Just for now, it's just not going to happen. So if you're out there, you want it to happen, I guess keep talking to the promoters, because they do listen. All these NASCAR changes are from, basically from feedback, so, and they are working together to improve it, right? And sometimes things, if it doesn't mean it's sometimes when it doesn't happen now, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So we just got to stay positive and have a positive approach about everything, and and don't think that it was really you're targeted or anything. It's just it's a lot of things that NASCAR has to deal with. So and they are trying to improve, as you could see, a lot of new things going on here. Okay, so now new divisions, the traditional team synchronized forms and traditional team synchronized weapons. Wow, see, so there's more for traditionalists here too, right? So synchronized will have their own as well, right? Will be added to official NASCAR divisions list. It will be an option for the promoter to offer any overall grand championships or challenges between the CMX and traditional team synchronized forms and weapons winners. So that's very good. That's a good plus right there, right? I like that one. That's the first time I actually read that one on the screen right here. Okay, now new grand championships being added. Women's overall grand championships will now include 4 overall grand championships, just like the men. So equality now there too. You see, that's great. A lot of great positives, right? Sometimes you just think about the things that you don't like, and a lot of things are really good that's going on, and there's still more room to improve. I really like that. The prize money for these new divisions will be set at the NASCAR league minimum $500 each. Okay, so 500 for those grants. So that's more money for the competitors to win, more divisions. These are great things that are being added. That's awesome. All right. Okay. Now, so it's women's traditional forms grand, women's traditional weapons grand, then women's CMX forms grand, and women's CMX weapons grand. So it's equal. That needed to happen for sure. I really, really like that one as well. Okay. So I guess we're gonna be moving on to the next one, right? But before we do that, let's talk about this, right? Before we move on to the next rules changes, right? What was your favorite part of 2023? Yeah, favorite part of 2023. Let's see if I can find it. All right. Okay, I can't find it right here, right now. Okay. All right, now, because I got a whole bunch of pictures right here under me. So now, 10 years of Point Fighter Live. All right. Now, while we're talking about that, we're talking about 2023 favorite moments. Okay, until I get the image pulled up right here, which I don't know if I deleted it here or not. We got a little glitch here online. Let's see if I can. Oh, here we go. All right. So we'll talk about these two things kind of together so we could move on to the rules. Okay. So 10 years of Point Fighter Live. That's right. 2013. Just a brief history on everything, right? And let us know what your favorite moments are, right? While we're talking here now about Point Fighter Live. 10 years, 2013. And basically the story on this, how it started was, it all started with a discussion forum. Wally, right? Even soon before that, before 2013, it was like 2009, the very beginning. Wally from Black and Blue Video had a discussion forum, and it was a lot of hits, people, a lot of debate. Then he stopped it, and then I started mine. Point Five. That's when Point Fighter Run Board started, right? The discussion forum. You go to Run Board, and it would get heated and crazy over there. A lot of good discussion. It was great, right? It was a great thing. But that's what sparked everything up for me with Point Fighter brand, right? Um, and then fast forward to about 2013, I had a team and it ended. And I was kind of like, not too much into not going as much to tournaments back then, like 2000, about 2011, 2012. And then I get a call from Jason Chen, ASG, and he's like, I'm going to give you, let's sponsor WKF. So basically, that brought me back into the sport with the team. And then the rest is history. And we have had so many things. We got the magazine now, we got merchandise, we got shirts, we got videos, a lot of that have gone viral. We got over 2 million followers. Well, all together right now, we got a lot of followers everywhere, right? And a lot of views. And the primary goal of the sport, of Point Fighter Live is just to put it on the map. That's been my goal from day one, and it's happening. There's more sport karate pages now. There's people doing more shows, and it's great. We're all one family, and we're trying to build it, to get it to the next level. And it's there. A lot of views. Then up my next plan for the next 10 years is to get it on TV as well, and more sponsorships, and it could happen, right? The next plan now, there's big pages. So the next plan for me that I want to really advocate for is athlete pages, right? Which we're going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a coaching program soon that I'm really excited about. So there could be big pages, then athletes with big pages. And then guess what? That's when the networks see it and sponsors. They're like, okay, there's big pages, there's athletes with a big pages, there's a lot of views, it looks professional. The sport is getting more professional. And then that's when the big opportunities come in for the sport. Okay, now 2023, a lot of great moments over the 10 years, right? So thanks to everybody as well for supporting. Now 2023 favorite moments, and then we're gonna get back to the NASCAR rule changes as well. Okay, all right, so let's get this one out. For me, I think, like I was talking about it earlier, sport karate just grew. Again, it got back on track to where it left off in 2020, and then it's back or even better now, right? So that's great. Regionals are really big. Nationals are big. All the numbers were up, and just the sport is thriving. And I think it's going to get bigger even next year. I really think that it's just, the potential's coming, really coming, and it's just we're tapping into the potential. Now, for me, for this year, I would say the most memorable moment for me would be like, I would say it was great for me to see. That sticks out in my head. If I think about this year the most, it's great to see a few things. Bailey Murphy doing big things, going to Europe and everything, and he's just with the seminars. He's really, cemented himself as like almost a GOAT. In my head, I think he's considered a GOAT already, and he's so young. He's like in 21 or 22. I don't know how old exactly he is, and he's won everything multiple times already. He's doing seminars. He's really humble, and that's one of the reasons why, right? So I think Bailey Murphy had a phenomenal year, and that stuck out to me in my head. And he's just a great, humble person. Then another thing was seeing Paul Mitchell. That's right. I'm going to say it. Paul Mitchell having a fighting team again. That to me, I grew up watching Paul Mitchell and Metro battle it out, and they've been around for a long time. And, they didn't field a team, really a three-man team for a while, right? It's been some years. And so seeing that was great. And at the same time, of course, TDE broke up and it ended, right? But I think it worked out perfectly for everybody because, TD, I think, did some big things. And, I think the team cemented itself in history and as one of the best fighting teams of all time. And, I think that, but all great things come to an end. And at the end of the day, too, a lot of cool things happen, because then we have a new sport karate team. With a new sport karate, I mean, JPM has a new fielding of men's fighting team, right, and a women's fighting team too, right? They ended up ending expanding with the fighting, because for me, when you think about Paul Mitchell, you think about forms, competitor, everything, right? They're like the Yankees. So it's great to see them having a fight team, a great fight team again. And those guys that were my teammates that went over there, I'm just happy for them. Seeing them happy is that's what it's all about with my teams. I want you to be happy, and and that's I'm just so happy to see them out there being happy, right? Because that you could see it. Sometimes you need a change, um, especially sometimes when winning is funny, right? Sometimes if you win so much too, um, you kind of need some motivation, and so winning. So seeing them there in JPM is great, and then from that, it's crazy how it all happened. Then I got a sponsorship opportunity in Team Prize Fighter. So now, out of all of a sudden, there's two more sport karate teams. I mean, fighting teams out there at tournament. So for me, that was a great moment in the sport that I could think about and look back on this year, and I'll remember that. Right. All right. So who's ready for more NASCAR changes? Let's see if I could remember where I left off. All right. Let's see. Let's take off. Let's just start removing some of these photos. And yeah, it's been a great year, guys. It's been a great year. And that's it. You know what? Before you know it, the next season is right here. That's it. It's going to kick off soon. And, that's it. It's about to start soon. 2024 is just a few weeks away. All right. So now, new divisions. Here we go. Back at it, guys. Back at it. It took a few minutes to get back at it, but here we go. 10 Korean Forms division. So now they got the Korean Challenge. Some events did it this year, and it was a hit. It was great. Now these divisions will be scheduled for Saturday morning schedules, and they will be included in traditional Forms Grands and overall Grand Championships. The forms presented by the athletes in these divisions must be Korean based with no techniques and essence of traditional Korean forms. Okay. All right. No, and it has to have the essence. It does have to have it, right? It's based with the technique and essence of traditional Korean forms. There's no required list of forms that athletes must perform. Then the ages are right there. So there's 9 and under, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and of course, I guess 18 and up, right? Men and women and boys and girls. All right. Now, that's a good one. I think that's great. Just more divisions, right? You build it, they'll come. All right. So now, going on to the next one. I think this is the last one right here. We're almost done, guys. All right. Here we go. The next one. 17-year-olds competitors may choose to compete in the 18 plus forms and weapons divisions for the entire year, even if their birthday is after the June 30th cutoff date. Once a competitor moves up to 18 up division, they can't switch back. So that's the only thing. All right. And their points can't be transferred. All right. So that's very important. You guys understand that. So basically, I think that's a great rule for people because, I think that's a great rule. I think that's awesome because then, some people just want to move up already into adults or they move up. I think there's a rule this year that you had to move up when you turned 18, right? If your birthday was like in July, right? Because in the other kids divisions, like under, the youth divisions, you compete in the age that you were June 30th and before, right? I think that's how it works. And then, but for adults, that rule didn't apply. If you went to, if you turned, I believe 18 in July, I think that's what I was told today. 18 in July, you had to switch up in your points. You lost your points. So now people could compete at 17 in the forms and weapons. Not fighting though, not fighting. Make sure that you got that clear. It's only for forms and weapons. So I guess if I wonder how, I didn't ask about this, right? I guess if you compete, what happens to people that compete forms, weapons, and fighting, right? Do they have to move up if they move up they can't move up in the fighting, so maybe they could compete. Forget about that, because if they move up to 18, right? Then in the fighting, they do fight as juniors in 16 and 17, right? I guess they'll have to be able to stay there, right? Or maybe they can't compete in the 16, 17. So that's something we got to find out on that. I'm not sure if a promoter can answer it right here, but I'll find out and I'll update everybody on that rule there, right? Because if you do forms, weapons, and fighting, and you move up for forms and weapons, then you're 18 and up and one, right? And then you'll be fighting still 16 and 17. So I'm not sure if they're going to allow that or if they won't allow it. So I would think that they would let you, right? Because it's fighting. You stay in 16, 17, and then adults and forms and weapons. But I could see how it could be a little bit confusing there, right? So I guess we'll have to wait and see for that one, right? Okay, so I think that's all the rules there. Now, point fighter approved events. Okay, we were there now. Next year, I'm adding about 20 more tournaments. We had 150 tournaments this year, and we could add about 10 to 15 more. So if you're interested, you get the power ring. We promote your event, pre-show, post-show, and all about the same price as a sanctioning fee. Okay, and we'll power it up. All right. Okay, guys. So that wraps it up. All the rules. There you have it. You could all check it out at NASCA.com. Everything's there. You can read it on your own there. I just wanted to do this show to go over it. 2023 was an awesome year. Another thing that I just thought about 2023 that I always remember is Jeff Doss, man. He had a great season, and I'm rooting for him to win an 18 and up grants, right? Because he competes there with you guys too, and I'm rooting for him. I think he's very unique, and I think the sport needs more characters like that, right? In the competition, he'll do the elbow drop, great patterns. He'll do the musical forms to the music. I think that old school stuff, I like to see that more of that. And Jeff is an awesome guy. He does the podcast with Alex Digman on the Martial Arts Inter Network, which is a great show, and they do a great job. He's on Team Revolution, great competitor. He brings a lot of students. He's a great coach, just motivator. He also does privates. He's just great legend in the sport. And this year I had a lot of great conversations with him, and I just want to give a shout out to him. All right. Okay, guys. So there you have it. We're going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Power, baby. Let's go.